Hey guys, welcome to this session on easy ways to learn data science by Intellipaat. Data science is by far one of the most important topics to learn right now, but it's very difficult to get started with, and it's even difficult to navigate the entire technology stack of data science. Keeping that in mind, we've come up with this session to help you get started and give you a learning path so that you can learn data science as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So we'll begin with the session, but before we begin, please click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell icon to never miss another update. Let's take a look at the agenda for this session. So we'll begin by understanding the skills that are required for you to become a data scientist. Then we'll take a look at some of the popular data science algorithms, different kinds of algorithms, and what do all these algorithms do. Then we'll take a look at the languages that you can learn in order to become a data science professional. And then at the end of the session, we'll take you through a learning path with each step defining what you can do to become a data scientist. We'll guide you through resources. We'll tell you how you can learn these things that we were talking about in order to become a data scientist. So let's take a look at the skills that you need to have to become a data scientist. So data science is a really vast field. It incorporates a lot of different technologies, and it incorporates a lot of different skills. So you need to have a good grasp on all of these skills to be good at data science. Let's take a look at these skills one by one and understand why you need them. The first is programming. The reason why you need programming is mainly because we need to instruct computers to be able to do certain tasks or perform certain operations on the data that we have, to extract information out of it. Programming basically allows us to teach computers and other machines to perform certain tasks on a data set so that you don't have to go through a massive list of a data set and find out what information you need to gather out of that data set. Then comes mathematics. Now you don't need to be an expert in mathematics, and if you don't know mathematics or you have no idea how to get started with it, don't worry, we'll guide you through some resources so that you can understand how to learn mathematics. But the basic idea is you need to understand the basics of mathematics like the addition, subtraction, multiplication. Then you need to understand linear algebra, calculus, and statistics. These are the kind of things that you need to know, and you don't need to be an expert in these kinds of things, but you do need to have some basic foundational understanding about these concepts so that you can represent data in memory in your computer programs. You can manipulate them, traverse them, and make sure that they are being used in the most efficient way possible. Then comes data gathering. Now this incorporates skills like SQL, web scraping, and many other kinds of skills. Basically, data science is done on data. It's operations performed on data to extract information, and for that you need to gather data. Now you can get a pre-built data set for you, but sometimes you need to gather data from internet sources like web pages or from legacy database systems that are using SQL queries. So you can take a look at them and you can understand how to perform these tasks. And these aren't very difficult to understand once you get started with them. Then comes data analysis. After you have gathered the data, you need to be able to comprehend what the data is all about. You need to be able to take a look at the data, analyze what it's all about, how you can perform these tasks, how you can contort or transform the data, what are the things that you need to remove from the data, and if certain fields are necessary for the task that you're trying to perform with the data that you have. So you need to have a good analysis skills when it comes to data. Then comes data visualization. Now this is a really important skill. Visualization doesn't necessarily just mean to be able to build visualizations like plotting graphs or representing data on a map, but it's more about being able to comprehend what the visualization is trying to convey. So being able to read whisker plots, being able to read scatter plots, and being able to understand what the data is all about and what are the informations that you can gather from it, that's an important skill. Now data visualization is a really deep topic, and you can write programs to do visualizations for you, or you can use tools that are either free or paid tools, and you can generate visualizations for yourself. So it's a really vast field, but you do need some background in all of these things so that you can get started with data science. And with that, you also need to know a few algorithms. So we'll take a look at some of the most popular algorithms in data science. So there are mainly two kinds of algorithms in data science, and these algorithms are mostly used to build models. These models are basically set of values that allow us to make predictions about a certain data point or to make a regression analysis. Now we'll take a look at what these mean in a moment. But the two types of data science algorithms are supervised learning algorithms and unsupervised learning algorithms. So supervised and unsupervised learning are the two classes of data science algorithms. Supervised learning is the kind of learning technique in which for our data science process, we get a data set in which we have the data and we have the corresponding outputs for that data as well. So to give you an example, let's say that you're trying to build a model that can take a look at an image and figure out whether or not the image contains a bird in it. Now, to do that, firstly, you need a lot of images of bird, and you will need data about that image which describes whether or not that image contains a bird or not. After that, you feed it to a machine learning or data science algorithm. It takes a look at the data. It tries to figure out some pattern using the data that it has with the labels that it has. So it takes a look at an image and figures out whether or not it has a bird in it or not. And after looking at all the images and working out the differences between those images, you can then test it and you can work on it. So having a labeled data to train your model is what is important in supervised learning. On the other hand, in unsupervised learning, basically what you're trying to do is you're given a lot of data and you're not given any structure about the data. It's just unstructured data. So things like user clicks, things that users bought with their age and age group and price ranges, and you can then take a look at the data and figure out different groups inside that data that can help you formulate better strategy to come up with things that you need to understand. So let's take a look at these algorithms. Firstly, we'll take a look at supervised algorithms. Now, there are several kinds of supervised algorithms. We're not going to be taking a look at all of them, but these are some of the most popular, and you need to know these at least to be able to perform some data science tasks. The first is linear regression. When you're trying to plot or you're trying to predict a continuous value, you use regression algorithms. So to give you an example, you're trying to buy a new house in a certain locality, and you have data about how big the house is in square footage and the price of the house. Now these two things are obviously related to each other. If the house has more, if the house is bigger, it has more square footage of area, then you have to pay more prices. And there could be other factors as well, but let's say that that's the only factor that we're considering. So what we can do is we can gather data about multiple houses in that locality, and based on their square footage and the prices, we can create a model that will tell you that if you have a house of a particular square footage, how much should it cost. Now the value that will be predicted will be the price, and it is a continuous value. It could range anything on a number line from 20,500 to 21,500.50. So since it's a continuous value, we use regression. When it comes to logistic regression, although the algorithm has the word regression in its name, it's not really a regression algorithm, it's a classification algorithm. Now, a classification algorithm basically takes some data and then puts a label on it. So like the previous example that I gave you, where we train a model to classify an image whether it not it contains a bird in the image, that's a classification algorithm. Other one could be whether or not a particular CAT scan or a particular scan of a person's abdomen contains some cancer cells, or many other kinds of things that you can take a look at. It's just basically it's just a model that will take a look at some data that you provided, and it will put some known label to it. So that's what you can use when you're trying to make a classification model. You can take a look at logistic regression as well. Then comes decision tree. So decision tree is something that we are all very familiar with, although we don't use it in terms of data science and machine learning, but we take decisions on a daily basis. So decision tree follows similar pattern. What it does, it takes a look at the data and tries to come up with rules following which you will, at the end of following the rule chain, will end up with an output or a classification result. So for instance, if you're trying to figure out whether a person should be allowed to vote or not, the kind of things that we have is whether or not a person is over the age of 18 and whether or not the person has the voter identity card issued. If these things are satisfied, then a person is allowed to vote, and if not, then they are not allowed to. So you can represent this in a tree structure, and that is what your program will then end up using. So instead of us defining the rule, machine learning algorithm will come up with these rules on their own. This is why we use decision tree. Then comes random forest. Now, as the name suggests, a random forest contains multiple decision trees. It is a bagging and boosting algorithm. It takes a look at a lot of decision trees. It does a lot of internal mathematical computations to figure out different parameters to train its decision tree, and then finally gives you the most well-trained decision tree. So you can take a look at that as well. It's an ensemble method. It takes care of a lot of internal mathematical structures for you. And then comes naive Bayes. Now this is a special algorithm because it uses probability in its core. So if you're interested into learning about how naive-Bayes work, you should first understand the Bayesian principle or the Bayesian theorem to understand how probability works when two things are being considered and one thing is supposed to be true. So this is where naive-Bayes comes in. Naive-Bayes is predominantly used in things like text matching and email spam classification. So you can take a look at that as well. Then comes unsupervised learning algorithms. So again, there are several kinds of unsupervised learning algorithms. We're not going to go in all of them, but we're going to take a look at just a few of them. The first is k-means clustering algorithm. So k-means clustering basically takes a look at all of the data and tries to group them into a specified number of groups. That is what the k stands for. So if you have given it some data and you give the value of k to be 3, then the data will be clustered together into 3 groups. Similarly, if you give it 4, it will cluster these data points into 4 groups, 5 groups, 6 groups, so on and so forth. So that's how this works. K-means clustering is useful when you're trying to do things like when you're trying to, after getting a lot of data about people buying stuff and you want to make sure you understand what is the age group and what do they buy. If you want to group them by their age groups, then you can use k-means clustering there as well. So it's basically trying to find out hidden patterns in your data, and with that pattern you can probably infer something about the data set that you have. And then comes a priori algorithm. These are used to generate rules. So if you've ever taken a look at some online shopping or e-commerce websites, they give you certain offers. When you try to buy a phone, they'll try to give you an earphone free with it. They'll try to give you some other electronic equipment or some other voucher cards or something like that. These are the kind of things that a priori algorithm can help you with. It just helps you figure out what are the kind of things that people are buying frequently together and how you can come up with these rules and then figure out what should be the offer that you're trying to put to your customers. So these are the kind of things that unsupervised learning algorithms can do for you. Let's take a look at programming languages. Now, just a quick warning that programming languages is not really a barrier when it comes to learning data science. If you already know some programming language, there's a good chance that you can perform data science in those languages as well, even if I'm not mentioning these languages here. For instance, languages like Java, JavaScript, C++, Scala, these languages also allow you to perform machine learning or data science tasks on them. They have libraries, they have frameworks built in those languages so that you can use them. These are the most popular languages when it comes to data science, and the reason is because these have the most built-in support for these kinds of tasks: numerical manipulation, data manipulation, and all of that. So first is Python, and then comes R. So R is a language that's mostly used in the academic field. So if you are working in a research environment, if you're working in scientific research or medical research or engineering research, R is probably the language that you're going to use, and Python is mostly used in conglomerate and multinational environments. So if you're working in a company which is trying to build a product that uses data science or machine learning internally, or you're trying to come up with a new business strategy and you're trying to use data science to your advantage, you're probably going to be using Python. Now, both languages are quite good. Python is the one that people usually prefer because it's got a really nice syntax. It's very easy to learn. And if you're starting to learn programming, I would definitely recommend Python. But R is also quite good, and you can take a look at both of them. Then comes the learning path. Now, this is where things get interesting because here we'll tell you how you can start learning and what are the steps that you can take to learn these kinds of. So begin by learning programming. Now, programming, you don't have to be able to build really big or giant applications, but you do need to understand the basic stuff like assignments, variables, data types, for loops, while loops. And if none of this is making sense to you, don't worry, stick with me till the end of the presentation and I'll tell you a few resources that you can use to follow all of these steps and help you understand all of these things. Then comes mathematics, which again you don't have to be an expert in, but you do need to know the basics of statistics, of linear algebra, of differential equations and calculus, just the basic stuff, and you can get by in data science. Then comes the task of building projects. Now, these projects don't need to be huge projects, and for that projects you can take a look at a lot of pre-available data sets. These data sets are available online on websites like Kaggle, or you can take a look at UCI machine learning repository. They have really big data sets for you to perform machine learning or data science operations on and get some result out of it. Also, these websites have pre-built projects, so you can take a look at how people accomplished certain tasks on the data set that you're trying to perform some task on. maybe the problem that you're trying to solve has already been solved. You can take a look at that and learn from those solutions. Then comes hackathons. Now these are events either organized online or offline by several companies or even by small organizations. They allow you to pair up with people and build projects overnight or over the course of a few days. So you can participate in these things, and these are really important for you to be able to build projects quickly and efficiently. Most importantly, you should get certified, mainly because when you're trying to look for a job, then people prefer the people who have certification, because that proves to them that they have certain skills that they need for the person to be able to good at their job. So make sure that when you're trying to get certified, you are being certified by an authority that provides features that allow you to learn programming, mathematics, and also has a few projects for you to build. And then comes applying for jobs, which is the final step. And in that, if you have a certification, then you have a great advantage over those who don't. Majority of people actually don't have any certification, so you would have a really great chance of getting the call back from a recruiter and being considered for a job. Now, when I'm trying to learn something new, this quote always comes to my mind, which says, an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. Now, keeping that in mind, this is we have our community site, in which if you have any questions in your learning journey, if you hit a roadblock, if you stumbled across some problem that you are finding difficult to solve, I would definitely recommend that you try and perform this task and you try and use this platform as much as possible. You can log into our community site, you can post a question with as much information as you can provide, like the error message, the screenshot, the part of your code that's causing the error, and like-minded people who have faced the problem that you are facing, or people who can help you out will help you out there. We also have a blog which helps you learn things, and we have a lot of content on that blog so that you can learn these things by reading about these. So if you have any questions or if you want to learn about these kinds of things, then you can take a look at the blog content that we provide. And if you're more of a visual person and not more of a reading person, then I would recommend that our YouTube channel contains a lot of videos about several kinds of technologies like data science, DevOps, cloud, machine learning, and many other technologies as well, ranging from basic programming to really hardcore computer science stuff. So you can take a look at that as well. Now, if you've taken a look at these and they don't have the resources that you're looking for, I would recommend that you go to our free course providing site, which is the Intellipaat Academy. The URL is intellipaat.com/academy. After that, you can take a look at these courses that we provide for free. And these are good foundational courses for you to have a basic understanding of many technologies. You can take a look at Python for data science if you're trying to learn Python for data science. If you're trying to learn the foundational Python, you can take a look at this course as well. There are many other courses if you're looking for other things like MS SQL, MS Excel, C for data structures, Java, AWS, DevOps, Azure. There are many other kinds of things that you can take a look at as well. And you can take a look at any other course that you want to and enroll in it and complete it so that you can get a foundational understanding. If you're looking for certification, I would recommend that you take a look at our Data Science Architects Master Course. It's got a lot of content. We help you with making 53 plus projects. We've got 232 hours of content. There's 10 plus courses in this master's course. So you get to learn data science with R, data science with Python, machine learning. You will get to learn artificial intelligence, big data, Tableau, data science with SAS. You get to learn MongoDB, MS SQL, advanced Excel. So everything that we've discussed so far will be taught to you, and a few other things. You'll get to learn 2 programming languages, which is quite good. And these languages help you understand many different kinds of aspects about what's good about programming in one language over the other. And this course will include a lot of projects as well, so you can learn a lot of things. You can take a look at the testimonials if you're trying to gauge whether or not this course is for you or not. If you have any question, you can firstly download the curriculum, take a look at what's being taught. You can take a look at these certificates. So if you click, you can zoom into it and you can imagine your name in these certifications. These certifications are valid in several companies, and some of these are Cisco, Cognizant, Mu Sigma, TCS, Genpact, Hexaware, etc. So you can take a look at that, and you can take a look at the reviews and the course advisors. And if you have some questions that you are stumbling with when it comes to these courses, these are some of the frequently asked questions and their answers, so you can take a look at that as well. Or if you want to talk to us, you can contact us on these numbers. Our course advisors are there to help you out. And with that in mind, thank you for joining me. And here's a coupon code for our YouTube users. It's YouTube30. So if you try to buy a course after talking to our course advisors, you can use this code to get a flat 30% off on any course that you want to buy, but it's not valid for the entire day. So you can jump on the opportunity and buy it right now. This is the coupon code. This will help you out to get a 30% flat discount on any course that you want on our platform. And if you have any other questions, you can contact us. The numbers are given on the screen. If you are more of an email person, you can contact us using the email address that's been shown on your screen. And our course advisors are there to help you out 24/7. So anytime, anywhere, you can contact us, and the course advisors will help you out with the course that you're trying to learn, help guide you to a course that helps serves your need the best. And with that in mind, we come to the end of our presentation. Hopefully this was informative for you, and hopefully it gives you good foundational knowledge about how you can get started on your journey to becoming a good data scientist. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.